What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com coming to you from Razorback Stadium, Saturday, April 12th. After Arkansas's 101-play scrimmage, I don't have all the stats in front of me, obviously, but you can go to HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com, check out all the stats where it's 50% off right now for your first year or $1 for your first month. So go check us out, support what we do. So I thought it was a better day for the first team defense versus the first team offense. Even though Talon was like 14 of 21 for 170 something yards, he had a pick on the final drive where it's like, you know, the offense has to keep the ball. The defense has a couple of timeouts, 3 timeouts, I think. For some reason, they're throwing the ball, and Xavier Sori gets in and gets a sack, and then the next play they're throwing again because it's third and long. They're behind the sticks, and Sori has an interception. So that was Talon's interception on the day, but just didn't feel like they moved the ball very well, particularly in the running game. Now, Braylon Russell did go down in the scrimmage with a knee injury. I am told it's a sprain, nothing serious. Spring's probably done, I would guess, but nothing that's going to carry on too long. So he should be fine. But, I just didn't see a whole lot of production with the first-team running backs, Braylon, of course, Mike Washington. Except for like they did some low red zone stuff. I think Washington scored during that when you're just set up, like at the 6-yard line. Sori had a really good day, as I mentioned, those 2 big plays on a gotta have it type of situation. That was big. Now the first team offense did drive. They started off probably around the 35-yard line or so. Talon hit a big pass to Raylan Sharp that got him in long field goal range, probably would have been a 54-yarder at that point, but they had 47 seconds left and 2 timeouts, and they ended up driving, kick a 43-yard field goal, which was missed by Scott Starzik. He was about 48% on field goals today, not a very good percentage. Kicked a lot of long ones. There were some 50-yard plus ones that he kicked during the scrimmage, but overall, special teams did not have a very good day as far as field goals are concerned. Not him, not any of the others. Although Scott Fountain did mention, Cam Little was 36% in his first scrimmage inside the stadium, so maybe that's a good path to be on, I guess. But not a great day by the kickers. Now the second team offense, I thought did some good things. Rodney Hill had a really long run, 40-plus yard run to score on, and Madni Amaliava threw the ball really well. They're driving down here. He hits Cam Shanks for 16 yards, and then on a 17-yarder down to the sideline on a freaking rope. The guy's got a lot of talent. Like, as far as his ceiling goes, it may be higher than any other quarterback on the roster right now. He's throwing the ball really well. His progression from day 1 to now day 12, I think, has been remarkable. He sees the field well. He's got a killer instinct. He'll throw the ball downfield. He's very accurate and just a really big arm. Very pleased with his progress. Not that I'm not with KJ Jackson. KJ Jackson has a lot of ability too, and really a good command of the offense. But we're talking like how much better can you get? And to me, Amaliava just had, with his natural arm talent and his quickness, he's got a very high ceiling. So Shamar Easter had a punt block, so that was a good special teams play, or was it a bad special teams play? That's kind of how it is when you're going against yourself. But he had a punt block today. They worked some kickoff return. They have Rodney Hill and Cam Settles, the freshman, back deep. Cam Shanks is obviously your punt returner after his All-America year at UAB. Now, just overall, not just with the scrimmage and everything, just kind of where my thoughts are. They ran a lot of 3-3-5 today, and I think a big reason of that is because they're not that good at defensive end. I mean, they've got Quincy and then kind of like a bunch of other guys. Maybe Charlie Collins evolves into the other guy, but it makes the most sense for them right now to have Xavier Sori, Steven Dix in at linebacker, and then Bradley Shaw also. If he's one of your best 11 players, then get him on the field, run a 3-3-5, put him closer to the line of scrimmage, because he can play, he can rush the quarterback, and he can, do a lot of other things. Last year they called that position buck. I assume that's what they're calling it this year. But maybe that's their best look on defense right now, and we'll see what happens in the transfer portal. We've seen also David Oki. He's worked a little bit of end also, in addition to playing defensive tackle. Maybe he's a guy that they try to work at different spots just because of need. I've been really impressed with Danny Saili throughout camp. I mean, the guy dropped 50 pounds. He explodes off the ball. He's the fastest guy getting off the line of scrimmage time and time again. He's got a lot of power. You can hear a little bit of a different punch when he's hitting, just a blocking dummy. Just a little louder pop. He's got a lot of strength, a lot of explosiveness. I think he's improved. I think Saile has improved as much as anybody, if not more than anybody on the team, especially on defense right now. Still a little unsure about where they're going in the secondary at the cornerback spots. It's been Selman Bridges, it's been Jaheim Singletary. They also have Kenai Walker, who's beat up a little bit during the spring. The Oklahoma transfer, Jordan Young, hasn't been out there at all. They obviously work some. I really like Keyshawn Davila. I've said that before. The junior college transfer. He's a little light, 6'1", 165. Never going to be a guy that's going to carry 190 pounds or anything. But to me, he's got a lot of potential. He makes more pass breakups and stuff in practice than anybody I've seen. So who else had a big day today? Didn't see a lot of production from the running backs aside from Rodney Hill. I mentioned Xavier Sorey having a couple big plays on that last drive. Larry Worth had a really big hit on Mike Washington. And Washington had a good run. He had a 10-yard run. I think he got 11 yards, I guess. It was a first down play on, when the offense has to keep the ball. So it's not like, it was just blanks. It was, he did a few good things out there. They shaked some things up on the offensive line a little bit. They had Corey Robinson at right tackle. They had Marion Harris at left tackle with a starting group. Keyshawn Blackstock was the left guard. And then later they came back with Shaq McCroy at right tackle, and then moved Marion Harris inside at right tackle, which kind of where I think I would go if I were them. I think Shaq McCroy is their starting right tackle. I've said that before. Wide receiver Monte Harrison had a nice 50-50 ball. Harrison had some good plays today. He keeps showing up, and I kind of won't let myself buy into it too much. Omega Blake did not play a whole lot today, but early on he had some nice plays. He had a drag route that he took a pretty good bit. I think your starting wide receivers right now are Ismail Cece, Raylan Sharp, Omega Blake, and then your next guys are Monte Harrison, Cam Shanks, C.J. Brown. That's probably your top six, which generally you don't see more than six playing regularly, and really four seem to get most of the reps. So that's kind of where things are. I think Monte Harrison has had a pretty good camp so far. I mean, he's making plays, he's making catches. I mean, that's notable. Secondary, I just don't know where they're going there. They rotate a lot at the safety and nickels, Miguel Mitchell with Caleb Wooden, Larry Worth, who I think Larry's more of your nickel in that defense, and Quintavious Scandrett. I feel like Quintavious Scandrett has made enough plays to be considered one of those four guys that should rotate in pretty freely based on what I've seen so far. Linebacker, saw a lot of obviously Shaw, but Tavion Wallace, saw him a good bit today, the top recruit in the class. He could play a role for him. Wyatt Simmons is back healthy. He had I believe Travis Williams said he had a bit of a hamstring, but he's been back out there. So that's where things are right now. Not that great a day for the offense, even though Taylor's numbers, you look at his numbers and say, okay, those are pretty good, but like certain situations where they got to have it, it's a third down, they didn't make the play, or I think it's encouraging that the defense is caught up, because early on, I can tell you, there was some talk around this campus, around these facilities, you just hear some whispers from sources and stuff like, man, this defense, I just don't know. It's looking kind of scary. But the defense I feel like they've really caught up. They still need some help, obviously. We've got the transfer portal opening here in 4 days, April 16th. It's not that far off. Red White game on April 19th. If you can find a defensive end, that's where all my money would go. I think they're going to be okay at linebacker. I mean, safety, I don't know that they're going to go out and get a guy that's going to start for them. I think more of the concerns in the secondary, or the numbers aren't quite where you want them to be. You want 18 defensive backs on your team, so the numbers are just a little bit down from that. So if you can get a guy, I wouldn't mind seeing them get a veteran linebacker, a defensive end, a defensive tackle. That would be the ideal thing. I don't think that there are massive needs on offense. The way Omega Blake has come along these last 6-7 practices or so. It's been very encouraging as far as a guy that can make a big play after the catch a deep ball. They're going to be fine in the slot with Raylan Sharp and Cam Shanks. Cross Johnson had a nice catch today also, redshirt freshman. So I think they may not be as good as they were at wide receiver at the top end, like with Andrew Armstrong, but I think it's a better room, guy 1 through 12 at wide receiver right now. Running back, they should be okay. I wanted to see more from Mike Washington today. He has looked so good through camp. I was kind of hoping we'd see maybe him break off some explosive runs, break some tackles. I didn't think he had a great scrimmage today. At the same time, maybe you credit the defensive line for some of that. Having Ian Ford, having Danny Saili. Obviously, you're going to get Cam Ball back. That's going to be big. David Oki has started working in more and more. So you've got 4 defensive tackles. You need 5. In this day and age with the transfer portal, you should have 5 defensive tackles ready to go. If you can't get a guy that's better than Caleb Bell, the freshman, though, then, I mean, why would you really even do that? You know, don't just get a guy to get a guy, but if you get a guy that can be in your top 5 for sure, or even top 4, then I think you definitely try to get him. As Travis Williams said, big guys cost a lot of money. Defensive ends, offensive tackles, quarterbacks, not much different than the NFL. All right, one last look here at the stadium. Again, go to HawgSports for all the post-scrimmage stuff. 101 plays today. Good day for Madani Amaliava. I think KJ Jackson probably had a pretty all right day. Talon, okay day. You know, Talon's also limited on running. Like, there were times where, you know he would have gotten more than he got, but it's an early whistle because they're not going to hit Talon Green. So that's where things are. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.